quickly broken. If this lesson could be summed up, we could say when you're down, keep looking up. And when you're up, don't look down. On the days that you're up and everything is going right, this is for your boys, you young people too. When things are going right, keep looking up. When things are going wrong, keep looking up. Don't be looking around. You have a good day. I've heard people say this, well, how long is this going to last? It'll probably last a couple hours and all hell's going to break loose. Well, get rid of that attitude. I just want to review a couple of points from last week's lesson because it's obvious this third chord is the presence of God. It's the presence of the Lord. And this is what keeps you going. And the reason I'm sharing this lesson with you, there are times in our lives, mine included, when the shadow of depression and doubt come over us. You ever been there, Gary? Yeah. So have I. You ever been there, Diane? Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page then. Situations and circumstances that we just have no control over. Things that happen in your life that you just don't have any control over it. It's not up to you. It just happens. You don't make the team. You strike out when you could have been the star. The job doesn't open up. The school doesn't send a good letter. Your report card is bad. It just seems like in some of these things you have some control over, but sometimes you don't. And why these cloudy days come, I don't really always know. But I do know, and I can tell you without any hesitation, they will come. They will come. When things go wrong and you think, I got everything all together. Because it's called a spiritual warfare. And this is what Joe alluded to a few moments ago, talking about spiritual warfare. It's very biblical and it's very real. You have an enemy who's trying to destroy you. Now, people say, I don't want to hear about that. I just want to stick my head in the sand. I don't want to talk about spiritual warfare. I'm sorry, but it's a reality. It's a reality of life. If you've been walking a Christian for any period of time, you're going to get hit by the enemy. And sometimes you have no control over it. It just happens. And you don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. You kind of talk to anybody. And what looks like an altogether person is suddenly hit by a spiritual attack. Just bang, it happens. This is what we talked about last week, and I want to review this with you because I think it's important. This is a little town in Poland that we visited. We visited a couple of years ago. It is the neatest town that you've ever been in. It is just everything that you want in a what's the word I want to use? In a vacation is in that town. Sleepy little town. It's on the river. The river goes by and the people can swim in the river, and it's just a wonderful place. It's a good place. This is the town, the center of the town here, and we walked right down that. And the day we were there, they were having all kinds of shops there, and it was just a good time. But not far from that town is another little area. It's within 47 minutes of that town. And it's an area that some of you might be familiar with, most of you probably are not. It's an area called Auschwitz. It's in a stone's throw of Krakow. And you got to take a bus to get out there. It's just a short little trip. And it's just an interesting little prison. The unfortunate, it was a prison in the Second World War. It was a concentration camp. And in that concentration camp, approximately 6 million Jews and Poles and anti-Nazi people were murdered. And they didn't just necessarily kill them at first. First of all, as the story goes and you research it, and when they first started to kill them, they had so many people to kill that they couldn't kill them all, so they buried some of them alive, just hoping that would kill them. Is that awesome? Horrible, horrible thing. And yet the people in the sleepy little town, they knew exactly what was going on, because they could see the smoke rising each day. It's only 47 miles away. They could see the smoke rising each day from the bodies that were being burned. We stood right by the incinerators where they burned the bodies, and they were on a track, and the body would go in and dump it, come back up, put another body in, dump it, and it burn up, burn up, burn up. All these things are happening. All these things were happening in the place of this little, within a stone's throw of this little town called Krakow. The citizens knew what was happening. It wasn't that they were dumb and ignorant. They just didn't want to face it. They didn't know what to do because they were living in a life of fear. They were in fear of the Nazis because they operated very efficiently. In other words, when they wanted to get rid of you, they kill you. That's all there was to it. It's very simple. Somebody was giving us a bad time, just kill them. Just kill them. Get rid of them. This is the enemy. This is the type of the enemy that we have. You say, well, I don't like to talk about that. I don't like to hear about it. I don't care if you don't like to talk about it because it's very real. And when you have an experience with it, you'll really know how real it is. We're living a day very similar to the days in Krakow. We're living in that right now. This is where we're at right now. There are people today. I go out to dinner with people every once in a while, and I like to talk about what's happening in the world. They don't have any idea what's happening in the world. I went out with somebody the other night, and it will remain quiet who they were. They don't attend this fellowship. They had no idea what was happening. They had no idea. I said, well, don't you listen to the news? Oh, no, the news is terrible. The news is prophecy right out of our Bible. It's right out of our Bible. This here is right out of the Bible. When they talk about global this and global that, that's one world government. Don't you understand where we're heading? You say, well, I don't think that would be a bad idea. Okay, let me just give you a quick example. When we go to India, we actually operate with the elite. We operate with the elite people because they can speak English. The other people can't speak English, so I couldn't go out and have dinner with you because you can't talk English and I can't speak Tamil. So it doesn't make for an exciting dinner. So the people that we go out with over there are doctors, veterinarians, presidents of the bank, and managers of the local bank, and all these things. High-class jobs, good job. You know how much money they make? My interpreter, who has a master's degree, has spent 7 years in college, he makes $260 a month, and he's living good. A doctor over there, a specialist over there, a person who specializes in one particular disease, a specialist with at least 8 to 9 years of college, if they make $450 a week, they are doing good. Globalization means that we are either going to bring their salary up to what they're making, or our salary is going to go down to what they're making. Now, I don't know how smart you are, but which way do you think it's going to go? These are some of the things that we're facing. And the Bible talks about them. It's not that somebody's making this up. I get so stirred up about it. My wife says, preach on prophecy. And I know that people don't like to hear it. Because it scares them. They want to be like a nice little town. I didn't like this little town. I don't want to talk over there over the bridge. I don't know what that smoke is all about. I don't even. You know what they did in the Second World War? When they released those people from prison, they made the people in Krakow come over to the prison and walk through the streets of the prison and say, this is what has been going on in the shadow of your city. But you didn't want anything to do with it. You didn't want to help. Instead of fighting against it and laying down their life to set those people free. And this is what we're called in the church. We're called in the church to lay our life down for those around us who are hurting. That's why we have church, so we can encourage people. We're living in a day when good is bad and bad is good. Is that right? Come on, help me today. I'm preaching better than you're yelling. When bad is good and good is bad. I get upset about it because I know there's something I got to do. There's something I want to do. I guess the question is, should you really want to help others who are under attack and seem to be overwhelmed? Yes, my answer is yes. Yes. I do want to help. I do want to step up and say, yes, what can I do to help you? I love visiting people. I love that. The puzzle about spiritual warfare is that it is well thought out ahead by the enemy. He knows where you're at. He knows your weaknesses. You ever find that? The rascal, he knows exactly our weaknesses. And see, if he'll catch us, we are in the most vulnerable moment. when something negative happens. That's when